So you're asked the question, can I sell my property as is? Short answer, yes. What are the pros and cons of that though? That's what we're talking about in today's video. Laura Gallen here with Mountain Prairie Living Empowered by ERA Shields. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the question, can I sell my property as is? So what does as is mean? It means that you're going to sell the property in its current condition with all the faults, with all the material defects, and you're going to sell it to a willing buyer. So if I'm selling it as is, does that mean I don't have to disclose the material defects? You do. You do have to disclose the material defects. So if you choose not to, or if your realtor actually sees defects and brings them to your attention and doesn't bring them to the attention of the potential buyer or the buyer's agent who's looking at the home, then you're actually could be liable for the damages that that buyer takes on from those material defects that were not disclosed. And in the state of Colorado, our actual state contract actually has a paragraph, it's paragraph 10.2, and it states that all properties are sold as is with all faults and such, and that it's on the buyer to do the due diligence to seek out information about that property, to do inspections, to do structural inspections, roof inspections, any type of inspection that you choose to do by a deadline. And then you can choose to decide if you want to proceed with that contract and take it to close, or if you want to negotiate, or if you're going to terminate. So let's talk about the reasons why someone would need to sell as is. Now, it could be something unfortunate where a family member passes away and the property is in probate, and the family that has to come sell it has no idea about the property, and they don't have any money to be able to upgrade the property, and so they're going to choose to sell it as is. Since maybe you're the seller and you don't have any money. You just don't have any money, but you need to sell the house. You've gotten transferred to a new job that has great potential, but you don't have any money. So you need to sell the house as is. Another reason someone may have to is they're in financial distress. They might have lost their job and the home is on the verge of foreclosure. And there's enough equity in it that they actually could sell it and still pay off the liens on the home, but they don't have any money to repair it. So the financial distress is causing an as-is sale for that particular seller. So if you're finding value in this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. If you know your home has disrepair, you haven't updated the roof and it probably needs repair, your furnace, your water heater, or your air conditioner are at its life cycle and they're due to be updated, that you would price it appropriately. The cost, you would estimate the cost of what it would be to update all of those mechanicals, and you would decrease your price by that amount. If you don't do that, expect maybe not a lot of showings or a lowball offer. There are situations where the earth moves and the darn property has a shift and there's a crack in the foundation, or there's just some slippage and dirt going in the backyard that's adding some distress to the property. And you really can't do much about it because financially you don't have the money and you just want to get out from underneath that property. That one would be distressed property. And so you're going to price that one quite low for the condition that it's in. And what you're probably going to do is have some limitations on who can purchase that. That's probably going to be an investor or a cash buyer who has the means to be able to come in and maybe wipe the house off, or to fix the structural repair because they're picking it up at a purchase price that allows them that investment money to still rehab the property, bring it up to its current market value, and still make some money on the transaction. There's two ways that you can price your property depending on the situation. If financially you're just talking about cosmetic updates or mechanical updates, the home is currently functional, it's maybe outdated and it may need updates of mechanicals and appliances in the near future, and you price that property at a different price than you would if you had a structural issue or severe land issues around it. Those would be two different price points. How much do you lose when you sell a property as is? Just a few things. For maybe $1,000 or a few $1,000s, you may see a large return when you go to sell it. You may have an increase of price of $10,000 or $20,000, maybe as high as 10 to 15% more for that small investment. So that's a decision that you need to make, and maybe you don't even have the ability to make that decision because you just don't have the money. But if you don't have that money, expect to lose maybe 10 to 15% on your purchase price. When you're talking about a property that's in complete structural distress, or the land around it is causing problems for the property, that's a completely different loss. That might be to the point where the home itself isn't even salvageable, and you're looking at just selling the land because the home has to be wiped off. That's a completely different situation, and I really truly can't estimate what that loss will be. So if you were out there buying and you saw a listing that said property is being sold as is, I think human nature, we just go, why? Why is it being sold as is? Small little repairs that need to be done, and the seller says, I just don't want to do it, or they can't do it. So that limitation means that you're probably going to expect a lowball offer. Hopefully you priced it appropriately, but you still may see a lowball offer because the buyer's looking at it and going, well, I have to replace the sink. I have to paint everything. It's $50 a can of paint, and all these walls have to be redone. The carpet needs to be done. They're always going to price it at a little bit higher estimation of what that's going to cost than you might really have to spend on it. The other limitation is that you may not be able to sell it to somebody who has or needs a loan to buy the property. It might be in such disrepair that you really are only looking at cash buyers or investors who are cash buyers, and they're looking at a return on investment. Your loss will be their gain. Is if a property isn't truly inhabitable, or the roof is in such disrepair that the potential new buyer can't even get it insured, or the insurance for the new buyer is triple what it should be. So insurability of the property can be a huge limitation when you're trying to sell a property as is. Inhabitability of the home will be a limitation to the price point of a property that's being sold as is. So there's the short answer. Yes, you can sell a property as is. In fact, in the state of Colorado, all of our contracts are sold as is. It's up to the buyer to do their due diligence, and it's up to the seller to disclose. Price point and limitations, those are the pros and cons of an as-is transaction. All it takes is a willing seller pricing it appropriately and disclosing the information, and a willing buyer who's offering a price that the seller's willing to accept, and a buyer that accepts all of the conditions of the property to come together and to sell that property, and that transaction is closed. So yes, you can sell a property. Just know there's pros and cons, and you could be leaving some money on the table. And if you'd like to know how to get the highest and best offer for your home and some things to do to prep it, then check out the video at the end of this one. And thanks so much for watching. I'm glad you stopped by. Like and subscribe and share this video with a friend, and have a great evening.